Hi everyone, this is Sunette, and in this video for Self and Living, we are going to talk about heat. And I mean the excessive heat, and I mean nature's heat, and the oven of this environment that I sometimes find myself in that kind of sets itself to beyond 240 degrees Celsius and goes way up beyond it. Starting in the mornings, early in the mornings here in the area where I live in the summer, it starts getting hot. It's like you wake up sweating sometimes, and it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. It's like creeps up on you slowly but surely. It firstly lets you know by just the feel of your skin. And then you try and dress a bit cooler and slowly cool down when you can feel it gets a bit too much. But then you can feel it as you breathe in this hot air. And over time, it just feels like this air compresses around you, this heat over and over and over again, more and more and more. And then eventually later on in the day, you feel so claustrophobic because it feels like nature is putting this blanket of heat around you and over you and in you. And this heat is just resonating and coming in from all sides. And before you know it, it just feels like every single cell is sweating and hot and tingly and uncomfortable, and you just want to be aired out and cooled out from the inside and out and just hang and, not do anything and not move, not even stand, because standing takes energy. And that's sometimes how I feel when, and especially in the beginning here in South Africa in the summers. Oh man, when you think about the heat too much and for too long and you make it emotional as well, that's what happens. You literally create this claustrophobia within and around the heat. And that experience of it feeling like it's everywhere inside of you and around you. And you can almost go crazy with it. Is because you created that obsession and emotional reaction toward it inside your mind. And I still sometimes have to be careful when I do that. And I found, that happens with heat when I did not move slow enough. I did not consider, how the heat is affecting my body. Like, it was recently exceptionally hot. I don't even want to say exceptionally. It was hellish hot. It was over 40 degrees Celsius. And, my partner and I were moving and busy moving and carrying things to and from in the heat. And, I got so much into the zone of moving and getting things done that, there was a moment where I was walking outside and I almost wanted to faint. Even though I've been making sure I get all my liquids in. But then I looked at myself and I'm like, but I did everything that I know I should do. I did the water. I made sure I eat substantial but light. I get my rehydrate in. I cool down when I feel like my body's going up into a high temperature, and then I make sure I move slower. And oh yes, I did not move slower. So I did not do everything. My movement. So I was walking and moving very fast, almost like at a pace, and carrying way too heavy stuff at once, even kind of half limping with, heavy stuff, more carrying it on the right side of my body. And here, it can so often happen in an environment or a space where we really tend to forget our body in relation to the environment and how it's responding, and checking in with it every now and then, especially if there's such a drastic change in something like temperature. And not only that, but also our mental functioning. Now, this is what opened up for me within and during this time, was to what extent the environment, the weather, the temp actually influences your experience of yourself. And I didn't realize that. until recently, where it was really like the weather was moody. Because one day it's like this hot oven howl on Earth Day, and the next day it is Antarctica. And then it is going to the extreme of starting like Antarctica and becoming the desert in one day. And, with weather and temperatures fluctuating like this all over the place, and me not having effectively, mostly during those fluctuations, considering how my body is doing within the weather, and me still wanting to continue in my headspace of getting things done and moving and running around and chasing after things and schedules and times, and many people know me when it comes to that type of stuff. But, trying to be like how I was functioning when the weather and the temperature was of such nature we didn't actually have to think about it. That was a mistake that I made. And I would just like to bring this point to everyone's awareness, because I wonder, how many people really consider the weather temp in relation to your mental functioning, self-functioning during the whole day. So, and because I was so silly and missing so many points in these environment, weather dimensions, I would lose so many hours in my day where I could have gotten to more. Because at the end of the day, I'm finished physically, and because my physical had gone through hell, and I put it in that, my mind just doesn't want to function. Like I would try and concentrate on writing on stuff and getting to chats, and I would just lose my train of thought. It's like my body just went, no. You did this to me today, so you're taking a break. I'm not going to let that mind of yours work more than what it is. Did you even know that when your mind is working, like writing, processing, chatting, reading, I even thought, well, okay, then I'll at least read. No, it just wanted to just shut down. So my partner was watching something, so I was just sitting in the back, just breathing and watching and doing some forgiveness within myself. For forgiveness in the sense of also becoming observant and aware of what I've done, these past days to my body, to me, what did I not consider, how had I been moving, because it's something that has never happened to me before. And interestingly enough, after that entire event, it happened again. And that time I was a lot more prepared. So what I did was balance my day. I figured out my schedules where I do more physical work early in the mornings for 2 hours. Maybe go lie down a bit more, then get into more of my mental physical work, in scheduling my day, especially during the times where it was very hot. And then just do some things in and around the house rather. And wait for when I have more people who I can ask to help me as well. Take some strain and pressure off sometimes. That is something that I still work with, is tending to want to do everything myself and being stubborn within that. That is a pattern that we can definitely have a look at in videos to come, because as much as I've found it to be a characteristic of mine, it's also been very rife in my family lines, something that I grew up with my whole life. Kind of being imprinted into you, that you've got to make it alone in this world. You've got to be independent. I never depend on anyone. Not like in that harsh tone. I mean, don't get a wrong idea about my family. No, it's just like that expression kind of comes through, in the way that so many have lived. Very harsh on the independence type of thing. And yes, it's a good thing, but there can be balance, there can be independence within dependence. And that was something new that I'm actually working with, finding that balance. So it would be important to definitely share that with everyone. All right, so everyone, please, we all know the world over, the weather has become moody. I'm just calling it moody because I know it's like my mood swings. When I'm facing a pattern or something, it's all over the place and unpredictable. So when the weather is in its moods, and like we are also in our moods, it can destabilize the body. So we must be aware of the fluctuations, check in with this little body of ours, and assist and support ourselves effectively in being able to be productive in our days and take care of this. Okay, everyone, from me and my body, we'll see you in the next videos to come. Bye-bye.